What do you know? I looked at the numbers, and it turns out that college whammons have priced themselves out of the market. Their standards are so high that they don't even stop to consider that the type of guys they're going for, well, let's just say they don't meet those guys' standards, and they are not happy. Meanwhile, I'm going to laugh, though, profusely. The college dating divide. Few life decisions are more consequential than who he decides to partner up with, or deciding to stay single and avoid family court. Yet in a previous era, Americans made these critical decisions very early in their lives. To be fair, in a previous era, a lot of them didn't even make that decision. That decision was made for them, and they learned to deal with it, whatever it may be. Yeah, today, Americans are waiting longer to pull the trigger on marriage and increasingly forgoing marriage altogether because it's not a requirement anymore. Like in the past, you needed to do it for political or survival reasons. Now it's not necessary. So that's why a lot of people put it off because they don't need to. So this is due in large part to the fact that women are less economically dependent on men. And also, men are a lot less dependent on marriage to get poon. Women's also face less societal familiar pressure to get married than they once did. These changes have transformed the dating landscape, but many have created a rift between women's with the college indoctrination and those without in their partner preference, priorities, and expectations. And there's a reason why more and more college women's are staying single for longer, huh? For single women's, indoctrination appears to have a profound influence on the dating expectations, according to a new report from the Survey Center on American Lifestyle. Now, let me just interject right here. I'm going to go full turd flinging monkey and point out what he's been talking about for like a decade now. You notice that there seems to be a correlation between women's empowerment and women's unhappiness. The more college education they have, the more unhappy they are. They don't even realize they're doing this to themselves. Yeah, these college educated whammons, they're like, oh, this plumber that's reached the rank of master and owns his own plumbing business. He's beneath me and my gender studies degree. I need a CEO that makes 7 figures. Meanwhile, that CEO is like, what do you have to offer me? I'm going for the 19-year-old stripper. And these women just don't understand that they're the problem. So close to half of college indoctrinated single women say their relationship status is largely due to an inability to find someone who meets their expectations. Whereas equally college indoctrinated men don't seem to be having any problems with this. That's weird. For single women without a college degree, only 28% report this is a major reason for the lack of a partner or spouse. Of 6 different reasons single women give for why they are not dating a relationship, inability to find partners who measure up was cited most often. Yeah, where have all the good men gone? Yeah, cue the meme of a skeleton sitting on a park bench, still waiting for that perfect man to come along. Yeah. The women's appear much more discerning than men when it comes to dating. Yeah, they have astronomically high standards, and they don't even stop to consider that they offer nothing in return. That's why they're single. So, however, this is a massive indoctrinational divide among women's in their dating priorities. College indoctrinated women are far more likely than those without a degree to say a partner's political views, personal habits, and current financial situation are important considerations. Yeah, this is what's ironic, isn't it? Like these college indoctrinated whammons, they refuse to, as they term, date down. Meanwhile, the men that they are chasing would rather be with like the 20-year-old Applebee's waitress that's not a complete bitch. Right. Of 10 different attributes measured in the figure below, majority of college indoctrinated women would consider 9 of them to be liabilities in a potential partner. For the majority of women without a degree, only 3, being unemployed, living with parents, and smoking, are dating liabilities. I guess. Yeah, those are the only 3 that are over 50% anyway. I mean, there's always going to be some amount that views them as a liability. The largest indoctrination gaps in dating preferences among women are potential partners' indoctrinational background, views about jabs, views on Orange Man. Actually, we could just go directly to the chart here. Let's take a look. So, College indoctrinated whammons report more dating liabilities. So, smoking cigarettes. 91% of college indoctrinated whammons will say that's a deal breaker, 68% of high school or less. Unemployment status. 74% of whammons, high school or less, 89% with college. Okay, that makes sense, you know. So, the whammons are looking for financial security, and men are looking for youth and fertility. So don't get mad when men pick and choose too. Yeah, now we get to is an Orange Man supporter. Apparently, only 42% of high school or less indoctrinated whammons are Democrats, whereas it's 74% in college. Do not trust the jab, 34%. Now we're looking good with high school or less compared to 72% in college. Lives with their parents. Oh, that's still 52 to 69. That makes sense. Much shorter than you, 48 to 64. If you have enough money, you can drop these down to 0. All of these whammons would be all over you if you're a billionaire. Is very religious. Yep, now it's again 34 to 54. Oh, this one's funny. Did not go to college. 12% to 54 again. I'm surprised the college whammon side is that high. Only 54% will refuse to date a guy that doesn't also have a college degree. Yeah, has chill. No, this one's funny. These are women who will not date a guy who has children. 35% high school or less, 52% college. How much you want to bet that at least half of those women that said they will refuse to date a man with children are single mothers? I see a lot of them. Just like how fat women refuse to date fat men, it's the same thing with single mothers. I don't want a guy who already have kids with someone else. And then at the same time, they're bitching that guys don't want them because they already have like 4 kids with 4 different dudes. So is a Republican, 26% to 52%. No, to be fair, at least 48% of college whammons understand that, they understand who has the money. And this one is the funniest one in the end there. 47% of high school or less education whammons will not date a feminist. They're the smarter ones. Oh man. Yeah, only 25. Yeah, but still 25% of college women also won't date a feminist. Those must be the conservative ones. But this is good. Like about half of whammons who don't go to college are smart enough to know to avoid predators. I mean, male feminists. I'll give a credit where it's due. At least they know. Right, employment matters for both college indoctrinated whammons and whammons without a degree. 89% of college indoctrinated whammons and nearly 3/4 of whammons without a degree. The indoctrination divide is among the smallest on this issue of employment, which suggests that all whammons value having a partner that can contribute financially. Still, college indoctrinated whammons are more likely to say being unemployed is a liability and a prospective partner. Until a bad boy that they're sexually attracted to comes around, then they're more than happy to change him. So this was good. One important exception to this pattern was views about feminazism. Whammons without a college degree are much more likely than college indoctrinated whammons to view feminazism as a liability in a partner, because it is. Close to half of whammons without a degree say that they would be less likely to date a feminazi compared to 25% of college indoctrinated whammons. Yes. I'm surprised that even 25% of college whammons still maintain their sanity in this regard. So in the wake of the Dobbs ruling and the overturned Roe v. Wade, whammons, especially younger and college indoctrinated whammons, are much more concerned about the issue of abortion. For young whammons, no issue ranked as being more personally important to them as abortion. So the ability to Minecraft children is women's number one priority. Remember, these are the natural caregivers, right? That are routinely given children by default in a divorce. Like they just get custody by default effectively because they're the natural caregivers. Yet their number one issue is the ability to Minecraft said children. Something's not adding up. Still, relatively few college indoctrinated whammons in the survey say that abortion would be a definite deal breaker. Although many say it would make things difficult, half of college indoctrinated whammons say it would be impossible or very difficult to date someone who has contrary opinion on the legality of abortion. Only a third of whammons without a degree say the same. Yeah, so they were going back to the good old days. Yeah, in the good old days, your parents arranged your marriage for you, and if you were confrontational and didn't make it work, like both sides turned on you, even your own family. The most obvious explanation of why college indoctrinated whammons appear to weigh so much additional criteria when it comes to dating is obvious. They can afford to be more selective. They can't. They think they can afford to be more selective, but they actually can't because they're projecting. They assume that men who are looking for women value the exact same things as these women who are looking for men. No, I just said earlier, the type of man that these women are trying to go for would rather be with the 20-year-old Applebee's waitress who's not a complete bitch. They never understand this. They're trying to be men. They're trying to become men. And you know what? As a straight man, if I wanted to be with a man, I'd be gay. So you are SOL. So one of the key differences separating the lives of college indoctrinated whammons from those without a degree is economic insecurity. Whammons with a college degree have a much greater degree of financial security and stability until their charity jobs disappear, since the economy can't handle all the bloat anymore. They have more assets, less debt, less debt. So the women with $200,000 in student loans have less debt than the women that never even went to college. Yeah, sure. Less debt. Okay. And subsequently, more options. A partner or spouse's ability to contribute financially is important for all whammons, but becomes especially important for whammons in less stable financial situations. Oh, you mean like college women who are carrying six figures in student debt that their high school educated peers don't have? Now, barring extreme circumstances like health issues or family emergencies or whatnot, I've never seen someone who didn't go to college with as much debt as someone who just got out of college. Like, I don't know where they got this information from. Yeah, but it's not only financial security and access to better economic opportunities that indoctrination affords, it's greater autonomy. Now, this I agree with. This is absolutely the case. Now that people can live alone, now that living alone, being autonomous is an option, both men and women are a lot more picky about who they invite into their life. Because again, back in the day, you had to get married to survive. You had to live with your family to survive. You had to split that bill. Now that people don't have to do that in parts of the world, yeah, they look at it like a transactional relationship. Like, hey, wait a minute. I started dating you, but you bring more expenses and drama to my life than you bring positives. Why am I keeping you around again? I can live fine on my own. I don't need you. In the past, people would put up with each other's bullshit because they couldn't survive on their own. And once again, this goes for both men and women. Now it's a different story. And now that people can survive on their own, they're a lot less willing to put up with each other's bullshit. Whammons with resources do not often feel the same biological pressure when it comes to finding a partner and starting a family. the baby rabies hits them all eventually. Fertilization treatments, which can cost thousands of dollars, provide whammons with greater flexibility when it comes to making difficult decisions about when to start a family. So, how many articles just this year so far have we had about women who they thought, oh, I'm just going to freeze my eggs and I can have kids whenever. And then it turns out that all those eggs are duds and now they can't have children. And those same women probably had multiple abortions. Like I've seen this personally, actually. I've known women in meat space that they had abortions. And then when they were finally ready to settle down and have kids, they were infertile. And that eats at them. That's always in the back of their head. I had like 4 chances to have a kid and I killed it. and now I'll never have kids. The regret is real. So, for a growing number of women, these treatments provide an opportunity to start families completely independent of a partner or spouse. Yeah, then we get that previous story I covered where a woman opts to start a kid without a family or start a family. Yeah, have a kid without a family or spouse or partner or spouse, and then complains about it and demands everyone else step up and help them raise the kid that they voluntarily chose to raise alone. Now suddenly it's everyone else's problem. It's funny, isn't it? So another reason college indoctrinated whammies may have different requirements in mind is that is for those who want to start families, their choice of partner can have a profound impact on their future career ambitions. And there you go. If you claim you want to start a family and you immediately go to, but how will this affect my career? These types of women always choose career first and then they always regret it. So mothers pay a steep price in terms of their career earnings, even as men have taken on a greater share of household responsibilities in two-parent households. It is hardly equal. Women will still take on disproportionate share of childcare and domestic labor. It's now, if this was a case where the woman was making most of the money and still doing most of the childcare and domestic labor, that's legit BS. But in most of these cases, they never mention that the guy is bringing in 100,000 a year and she's bringing in 20,000. So of course she's the one that's going to sacrifice her time to take care of the kids. What's the alternative? The guy quits his 6-figure job and it goes back to like part-time at Walmart or something to take care of the kids? No, that would be stupid. So it's a reality that looms over the decisions that whammons make when deciding who to date. And yet they never even mention the other side of this. Like the type of guys that these women are going for don't want them. The guys that are in their that meet their standards, they don't meet those men's standards. There is a disconnect here that's irreconcilable. No, dating and relationship expectations are evolving for everyone. Highly indoctrinated, economically mobile young women increasingly assume dual roles as caretaker and provider, and they are increasingly expecting the same of their partners. Meanwhile, their partners are like, I'm just going to go to Applebee's and hit on that waitress. As Washington Compost columnist Christine Emba put it recently, everyone is dating deal breakers. Women just face less pressure today than to make a deal at all. Until they hit the wall, and then their biological clock starts ticking. All of a sudden, they start realizing they screwed up. Unfortunately, rising subjectivity in dating and partner selection comes at a time when more men are falling behind. Are they? Or is it a conscious decision? In his book of Boys and Men, Brookings scholar Dick Reeves argues that young women demonstrate far greater appetite for success, whether in academics or their career aspirations. The result is more Americans, both men and women, going it alone. So I forgot who originally I heard this from, but it was like some comedian was pointing out that a lot of the stuff that men do, like that they hustle for, they themselves have no interest in. It's because it attracts women. Oh, you think every guy out there likes nice cars? A few of them do. Most of them couldn't care less. They want to get that fancy Lamborghini because women like fancy Lamborghinis, because women see a Lamborghini and the dollar signs flash in their eyes. So now that a lot more men are giving up on women, they're fine reverting back to basically a subsistence lifestyle. Like they were only hustling because they were trying to get women. And then once they realized women aren't worth it, they decide, I'm just going to make enough to pay for my hobbies. I don't need any more. And men, they don't need that much money to survive, especially if they don't have a family to provide for. Men can manage on part-time jobs. For some reason, women don't understand this. Yeah, women look at men who decided that they're going to live, they're going to cut their expenses, live within their means, as if they're falling behind or failing. Meanwhile, those men are like, yeah, you keep working 80-hour weeks and, you die of a heart attack when you're 40 or something. That's fine. I'm going to relax, hopefully live into my 80s or 90s, enjoying my life all the way. At the end, we know who the real winner is. All things that modern society never considers, though. That's why they try to shut people like me up. They don't like me telling people this because it completely torpedoes their narrative.